Hi, I'm Reid Peterson, and welcome to Grief Refuge. Grief Refuge is a safe and sacred place to hold your grief, to honor it, to feel it, and to heal it. This podcast isn't your typical talk about grief podcast. It's more of a what to do with grief podcast. Grief Refuge is about being in your heart and honoring your truth. I'm very grateful you're here with me today. I look forward to helping you in whatever way I can, hoping you feel more comforted, supported, and perhaps educated about your own personal grief experience. If it's possible at this time, please stop any multitasking you're doing. The best thing to do right now is to find a comfortable position. Relax, maybe close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, and keep an open heart for what's shared next. I'll start out by saying I'm pretty excited to share with you some of the experiences that are personal stories from participants I've had in grief support groups. These stories are very condensed because in their own grief experiences, the story is always unfolding. But certain points are highlighted to share more. And the intention is for you to have something to connect with. For whatever reason, I'm hearing the word comfort used more and more in the grief work I'm doing. People are just saying, "Oh, it feels so comforting to hear you say that." And that's what I mean by today's intention. I want to provide comfort to you and help you feel more bonded in the aspect of not being alone in your specific grief experience. I've titled this topic, What I Miss About You the Most, and I hope you enjoy it. In the grief support groups I facilitate, the biggest pain for each participant is that they just miss their special person so much. Today, I want to share with you some of the comments from group members who gave special permission for me to voice what they miss most about their special loved one. These sharings and these snippets of the stories you're about to hear, they're from exercises that we've done throughout a group experience. We reflected on memories and shared stories about special traits our loved ones had, and that made them who they were and who they still are. In the group, we would bear witness to each other's struggles as we came to terms with loss through sharing our stories. The first reflection is from Karen. Karen lost her husband in 2018, and she wrote this 4 months after his death. What I miss about you the most is the way you looked at me. It made me feel like nothing else in the world mattered. You would stop everything on a dime and center your attention on me. It made me feel so important, so cared about, and so special. Your heart was wide open for me, and so were your arms. I remember the first time I saw you laying eyes on me. It scared me. You were so focused. If you had not been smiling, I would have run away. But that focus, it pulled me in. I don't even remember if you gestured me over. Did I even take a step towards you? Who knows? All it took, though, was your eyes and your smile. They pulled me in like I was lassoed. You and I both know it wasn't love at first sight, but it sure was something. How did you do that to me? I'm never going to have another moment like that again. The thought of that rips me apart. It makes me feel hopeless. I would be lying to you if I told you I didn't think about ending it all. Right now, there's little that keeps me going. I want to be with you. You still are the only thing that matters. A special thank you to Karen for that beautiful sharing. And I just want to add that currently Karen is doing okay. She spends more time with a best friend of hers. They do hobbies. They eat lunch together. They run some errands together. It brings me joy to know that Karen has a companion. She told me she feels a tremendous amount of grief still, and it mostly comes at night when it's dark and things are quiet. Karen's coping. It's definitely hard at times, and what I admire most about her is that she is fully accepting of whatever comes her way. The next reflection is from Sarah. Sarah and her fiance were involved in a car accident. Her fiance and their dog were killed. Sarah survived. Sarah writes, "What I miss about you the most is your humor. Man, you made me laugh. It made me feel so much joy. You were so fun. Your humor was like no other. You didn't have the best jokes or draw an audience to you, but you had a special gift of making any situation we were in something that we could laugh at." Do you remember that time we got lost? That was both the scariest and funniest experience of my life. Our simple day hike turned into night way too soon, and we got off the beaten path. We were not nearly equipped with enough water, and we were in bear country. Truthfully, I didn't think we were going to make it. But then there was you. Somehow you started telling the story of the history of the marathon and that it had nothing to do with ancient history. It became the story of what we were enduring. Hikes that are meant to be short but go on way too long. You even had that crazy punchline of brushes being invented by people who were lost in the woods. Where did your humor come from? Your family isn't funny. Oh, how I wish we could laugh together again. Right now, I don't know how to have fun without you. Thank you, Sarah, for those beautiful words. After checking in with Sarah in more current times, she wanted to make sure that she knew that she still doesn't laugh like she used to with her fiance. She's still accepting that, and especially more in tune with it every time she hears other people laugh. This next reflection is from Courtney. Courtney's best friend died from breast cancer in 2020. Courtney writes, "What I miss about you the most is that you're the only person I can trust. You are my only true friend. It seems like most people these days, other than family, they want something from you. I loved you so much because you didn't want anything other than for us to just be together and enjoy life. You were my most trusted friend. I could tell you anything because you never judged me and your intentions were to be loving and supportive. Why aren't there more people like you? I feel really lonely now that you're gone. I don't really have anyone I can talk to about important things. It feels like all my trust left when I lost you." Really appreciate you, Courtney, for that honest reflection. Courtney wanted to make sure that you knew that these days she keeps mostly to herself and that she's very okay with that. She leaned on some wonderful animal companion friends, and she feels very loved and supported by her pet family. This next story I want to share with you was written by Kim. Kim's husband died in 2018, and she joined my group with a hope to feel more supported. Kim writes, "What I miss about you the most is the way we danced. Dear Michael, do you remember when we met? We both had 2 left feet. How was it not fate that we met at the community dance lessons back then? I told you over and over again that public dancing was something I feared the most, but I never told you that I showed up there because I was hoping to meet you. I didn't know it would be you, but I did know I wanted to meet somebody. It was never really about learning how to dance. But I'm so glad it happened the way it did. I'm so glad we partnered. I'm so glad we stepped all over each other's feet at first. I'm so glad we apologized to each other 100 times. I'm so glad we laughed about it. And I'm so glad we found a connection in our flimsiness and floppiness. What I'm more glad about anything, though, is that we continued to dance. It was our sacred bond. Our dancing nurtured our growth together. We worked out our differences with our bodies and our movement. We found harmony and rhythm together, not just in our moves, but also in our life together. Dancing with you was a tremendous source of safety for me. I felt held, I felt seen, I felt loved. I remember the way you led me at first. You seemed so uncertain about what to do, but I could tell you were going to get it right. I could tell how important it was to you. And it was that important to me too. Seeing your confidence grow and you mastering your footwork and the frame you held me with. It was beautiful, Michael. We had such a beautiful bond, and I miss it so much. I love you, Michael. I can't wait till we have our next dance together. I want to send a special thanks to Kim for that beautiful sharing. And I also want to mention, I caught up with Kim recently, and she said that she no longer dances, but she has now accepted yoga as a daily practice for her. She doesn't have the desire to dance anymore, and she doesn't want to dance with anyone else. So right now, yoga is meeting many of her needs. And the last story I want to share with you today, it was written by Lisa. Lisa's husband died in 2019, and Lisa writes, "What I miss about you the most is the way we cooked together. You were so stubborn in your belief that restaurants are overrated and true love is time spent together in the kitchen. Our kitchen is so lonely now. I look around, see all these pots and pans, and only wish for you to be here with me, making another meal together. You would wear that silly apron with the crab on it. Man, that thing was ugly. You would always be smiling as you chopped and sliced. You were always shoving food in my face saying, 'Try this.' You were so passionate, and it was so adorable. I miss being your sous chef. I miss being your taste tester. But most of all, I miss you. I miss your smile. I miss your kitchen singing. I miss every piece of you. Cooking will never be the same now that we're not together. The passion is gone. Please don't get mad at me for ordering Uber Eats I hope you understand that I only want to cook with you. Thank you so much, Lisa, for those beautiful words. After catching up with Lisa, she was able to say that she is cooking a bit more now. She was open in sharing that she sets a plate for Tom and she talks to him about what the food tastes like. So to me, that sounds like she's still cooking with Tom, and I love hearing that. Well, I want to thank you for listening to these reflections and stories. I'm curious if you found any bit of them familiar. What I feel inclined to point out is that it's okay to respond to your loss in whatever way you find helpful. Forget about what other people tell or try to tell you. Nobody really knows your true grief experience. Nobody knows your special person like the way you do. Nobody knows what's best for you. Keep doing what feels right to honor the special bond between you and your loved one. It's also worth noting that what was shared here from these wonderful people, these snippets of stories, they took time to develop and formulate into words. All these participants were part of an 8-week grief support group. And during those 8 weeks, they were asked to write a lot. You heard from people who deliberately held space for their grief with a pen in their hand. They allowed their feelings to be acknowledged. They accepted them. They felt them. And they expressed what they felt through their writing. Each person that you heard about today would flat out tell you to throw your expectations about grief out the window. Grief will take you on a different ride from what you ever expected. Unlike that familiar cliche of sit back and enjoy the ride, the grief experience is a bit different. I would go as far as to say as it's more of like a buckle up, because you never know where this ride is going to take you. Well, that'll do it for today. I want to thank you so much for joining me. It's such an honor to hold space for your healing. If you found this to be helpful, I have a favor to ask. Will you please share this podcast? You can text the link to a friend, or you can email it to them, or you can just simply tell someone, hey, I found a great grief support podcast called Grief Refuge. And special bonus points if you're tech savvy. Would you be so kind to leave a rating and review? That would be pretty awesome. And I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Before we say goodbye for today, please know that I'm available to provide more support should you find it needed. The easiest way to reach me is to visit griefrefuge.com. Thank you again. Take great care. Keep honoring your grief as a part of your true experience. Be kind to yourself, and talk to you soon.